Oh, what's up, everybody? Bren here. It is Friday, September 19th. Hope everybody's having a great day so far. Bitcoin coming down a bit today. We'll talk about that. ETH, Sol, everything like that. We'll talk about creator coins and how I'm playing them, and a select few that I think have a good shot at recovering. We'll talk about the great ETH long setup that I still think is intact, and airdrop season, a lot of other cool stuff. But let me know what you guys are up to in the chat, where you are out coming from in the world. Always love to see where everybody's at. And make sure to like, retweet, comment, bookmark this stream. Always appreciated. But yeah, Bitcoin coming down hard today. Before we get to that, let me know again where you guys are at in the chat and what you're thinking. What's up, Wonka? What's up, Ray? What's up, Armstrong? What's up, Maxwell? What's up, Scripto King? Appreciate you for reposting. But yeah, Bitcoin coming down hard. Quite a quiet day overall. A lot of Bitcoin's coming up on a really crucial level here. Here, let me share my screen at 115K. We'll talk about why I think it's still very likely going to hit 150 before we see 110, and why ETH, as long as it can hold this 4,400 level, is presenting a great long setup, I think, to 5K plus. We talked about it last week on stream. It went up a bit, and now it's coming back to retest this low here. I think this is an amazing long setup, potentially setting up for not just ETH, but Bitcoin and Sol. But streamer coins, obviously, last week were super hot, calming down a bit as a meta, or overall as far as hype goes. But we're still seeing big names like Jack Doherty, of course. A lot of interesting character, Jack Doherty. But we still, my point is that we're still seeing big names starting to come in and recognize how big pump fund streaming is, and how potentially they can make a lot of money. And I think that's what's going to drive this narrative forward. Is we're going to need some big names, either streamers, entertainers, rappers, whatever it may be, to come in and not rug it, but actually take it serious for even a couple of weeks, or potentially a few days. That'll create runners, which will then create a huge hype and a kind of a more sustainable meta in the streaming coins, whatever you want to call them, creator coins. I think it's coming. We'll talk about what some coins that I think have the best shot at recovering and potentially give us 10x plus gains. There's a few streamers here that have stayed pretty consistent. Their charts look pretty decent. We'll go over that here in a little bit. But what is good, Sing? What's up? I've seen everybody BMCs in the chat. Seeing you guys are coming from the channel. Love to see that. What's up, Wonka? Streamer coins are down a lot. Yeah, they really are. Brett, I'm unable to engage on X on reposts. I'm in Elon jail. Damn. Yo, what's good, Hawk? Yo, what's up, Mike? How you doing? But yeah, let's go over the majors here first. Bitcoin came up after. Yeah, Bitcoin came up after this last stream we were on. Kind of was hesitating here, and is now falling back towards this 115K low. Now, this low is very crucial. If it does, it's kind of the line in the sand of what Bitcoin will do over the next few weeks. My base case is still something like this will likely happen, that we're just seeing a corrective consolidation on Bitcoin that will probably look like something like this. Maybe it comes back down around this low a little bit and then starts moving higher. I think that's that's most likely here. Now, if Bitcoin were to break through 115, that could act as probably a local top, which probably would mean, again, if Bitcoin were to crush impulsively, meaning if the candles were to look like they are right now, super red and strong, and continue to push, through 113 into the 112s, then Bitcoin's probably going to see something like this and head back down, down into the low 107s. Of course, what that would do is just create probably what would be a final low in this bigger Bitcoin correction. But to me, I still think that's the least likely scenario. And I think what we see Bitcoin do is into the weekend, as we normally see, come back down, maybe chop back down towards this 114 low. And as long as it's able to stay above it and not completely break through impulsively, I think it probably chops, does something like this and then moves higher. Again, anything could happen. It could break through this 115 low, in which case, in the shorter term, over the next few weeks, over the next few days to a few weeks, Bitcoin probably would move into those low hundreds. But to me, the writing is on the wall on the higher time frames for Bitcoin. This corrective structure, from what we gotten since July 13th to now, is an obvious corrective channel or corrective coil up on the higher time frames, so that even if Bitcoin were to give us this final low right here, broke right through 110, and even if it came back down to the low 110s, to me, this is not what cycle tops or long-term tops look like, where they have these corrective coil ups. This is a lower time frame or a higher time frame correction that almost always, again, I can show you so many examples from just like this one in June, these corrective coil ups, this bigger one in April. This is not what longer term tops look like, where it has these choppy like bounces and everything. This is very indicative of a higher time frame correction. So even if we were to get that one more low in the low hundreds, I think again it would just lead to higher prices into the end of the year, and especially in 2026. I think 2026 we're going to have an extremely strong year. Right now is just until Bitcoin breaks above this all-time high. Obviously anything's possible. But let me exit out of these. ETH, I was talking about that great long setup earlier. I personally was building a long position strongly in the high 4500s into where it was coming down here, went into profit. Now Bitcoin's coming back down towards this, or ETH is coming back down towards this low. And just like Bitcoin has two scenarios here, with this low it's on right now at 4,400, really dictating where it's going to move from here. Okay. What I think is likely to happen, just like Bitcoin, I think ETH is either stop moving down or is coming close, and will probably chop above this 4,400 low, potentially into the weekend. This would be best case scenario into the weekend and move up into the early next week. And this structure here act as kind of like a double bottom, which we often see at these bottoms. So this is best case scenario for ETH. My stop loss on this, I actually have a long position with an average of like a 2,500 or maybe it's like $2,600 now, because I did start building a long position in the high 19 or in the high 1000s, actually around 2000 as it was coming down. So my average entry is way lower. But if I were to build a long position just fresh right now, I think this is still a great setup, potentially risk to reward, where I would set my stop loss at potentially, let's just call it, 4350, and be targeting at least 5,000. That would be my first take profit. My first take profit would actually be at the 4,700 level here. That's when I'm buying and accumulating into these corrections, I love to take profit at the previous correction high. So yeah, that's what I would put my first take profit at 4,760, maybe a second take profit at 5,000. At that point, I'd be out 50% of my position, risk free, with a stop loss and profit. So that's how I'd play it right now. I still think this is an amazing potential ETH long setup, where you're risking about $100 to catch 5, 6. So I mean that's a 5-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So I like this trade still. And even if it were to come back down, break that stop loss, I do think there's potential that this low for ETH is either here or potentially one more would be the final one. So I think there's a great long setup, a great move to the upside coming either way. So, but love to make these streams super interactive and take questions and everything from the chat. So let me know what you guys are looking at. If you've been trading, sitting on your hands, some charts I'll definitely look at when it's time as well. What's up? What's up, Bren? What's up with Aster? Yeah, so I haven't actually touched Aster. Been kind of off the computer the last few days for the most part. But we'll look at Aster as well. Definitely some crazy stuff going on with that, obviously. Yeah, I saw that Johnny Sins coin rugged. That's nuts. What do you think about Solana? Yeah, we'll look at Sol. So yeah, let's see. Where's Sol at? Sol, same thing as Bitcoin. This $230 low is going to kind of be the line in the sand. If it's able to hold this low and chop above it in the weekend, I think it probably moves higher, up into 300. And if it were to break through that, then potentially be looking at a bigger correction. But my view for my view for Sol is that Q4 and especially 2026, I think is going to be extremely bullish. I personally think that the 4-year cycle, as far as Bitcoin topping out on the 4th year, which would be 2025 this year, is very, very likely over. Meaning, I think we've moved out of the traditional 4-year halving cycle, which means 2026. I believe is going to be very strong and could potentially move well into 2026, maybe even 2027 and beyond, depending on how strong everything gets. I personally think that just like every other cycle, there's going to come a point here, probably in 2026, where it's going to get crazy, where normies and a big influx of new capital comes in, which probably will send everything up kind of in a mania. Everything probably will get overheated. And at that point, I think we potentially could get a bigger bear market top. But I think there's a lot of evidence to show that the price action, the regulatory clarity, everything's completely changed. The chances that we're going to, in the next month, especially after we're still in this kind of correction, just top out in December and January, just like the other two cycles, I think it is the less likely scenario here. And I'm just extremely bullish on 2027. And, again, whether it takes a month, 2 months, whatever for this to play out, I think the great coins are just destined to go up 5, 10x, not just because of a regulatory, a potential normie mania, but just because this is what Bitcoin's done every single time in the last 3 years. This is what happened to the memes and everything every single time Bitcoin's corrected in the last 3 years. When the meme coin mania started in 2023, Bitcoin went in this correction. All the coins that are around back then went down 50 to 90%. Bitcoin bottomed out at 26,000 and went on to rip all the way to 6,800 in a matter of 6 months. I remember coins like Pepe, Mog. Mog was kind of born around this time. All of these great coins in that time ripped 5, 10, 15x, 20x, some of them, a lot of them way more. All, again, as Bitcoin went up. But what happened in March of 2024 when Bitcoin topped out temporarily? All the memes and alts came down 50 to 90%. A lot of them died. But then what happened in the September of 2024? Same shit. All the great memes that survived went on to rip, Mog, Giga, SPX, a lot of these AI coins that were, a lot of them weren't really born yet until the end of this, but a lot of the AI coins all rip 5, 10, 15, 20, 50x. What happened when Bitcoin came out and Trump came out? Everything topped out again. And then we've seen like probably the gnarliest and the biggest correction that we've seen so far. But then, we're coming out of this Bitcoin correction now. Obviously, stuff hasn't moved yet, but Bitcoin was only moving up for about a month. What I think is going to happen once Bitcoin breaks again above 124,000 again, that's when we're going to not only see the memes and alts start to recover again, just like 2023, just like 2024. But I don't think what a lot of people aren't realizing is I think we're going to get that normie influx of new capital that's just going to send everything fucking ballistic. So again, it's annoying to trust me this time in general versus where we were this time last year or a little bit later, maybe October, November. It's just night and day from the trading opportunities to the vibes to everything. But anybody who's been around for a year or two just knows that when these corrective periods are over, the opportunities are plentiful, the fucking vibes are good. Like it's just night and day. So it's just got to get through these times and just yeah, I think it's coming to the end personally. And if and when we do get this chop over the weekend, holding these lows, I do think we do finally get that parabolic leg. I know a lot of people are expecting Bitcoin to come up here to 124K and then potentially come all the way back down to 100. While I think that's possible, just the fact that everybody's expecting that, with equities looking strong, the way the DXY is looking, the rate cuts, regulatory clarity, I think that's the least likely scenario to happen. And instead, I think we're going to continue to crush 120, 130, and then that's when I think the fun starts. And everybody who sold the bottom or who was you know just not invested, I think that's when everybody starts to kind of flip. Um, but the key is getting positioned now before that happens. So that's what I've been focused on. And just to play devil's advocate, or just to, because anything's possible, what I would be looking for if Bitcoin were to top out at 120, and potentially if you're looking at this and, you know, something you could prepare for if we were to see 120K or were to see the scenario happen near 120, is if Bitcoin came up here, came up near 120, and then started hesitating for 2 or 3 days, consolidating, maybe coming up a little bit, but just not able to break. That's when you might say, okay, I think there's a potential that we might break down, and that's when you might de-risk or take profits on longs or whatever your situation may be. But this is what I'd be looking for: is as we approach, if and when we move back towards 120K here, if we get some hesitation in the 120s or anywhere from like 120 to 125K, that's when I'd potentially be looking, for the downside, to not necessarily short personally, but to prepare for the downside, potentially prepare to buy more, maybe take some profits on longs, etc. So that's what I'd be looking for if and when we were to get that. And that could happen a little bit lower too, in like 118, 119. But you're essentially looking for a lower high, with some hesitation. But again, I don't think that's the most likely scenario here. I think Bitcoin, ETH, SOL in the coming days do probably move higher, into Q4 2024. So yeah, what's up, Base Newell? How you doing? What's up, Andor? How you doing, brother? Thoughts on Cupsy chart, more important narrative wise? Yeah, I'll just pull up that chart for you really quick so I don't forget. I'm sorry, Q4 2025, obviously. So Cupsy, just so you guys know, I know nothing about this coin other than people suggesting it, talking about it on the timeline. But chart wise, Cupsy has been consolidating, holding this high at around 7 million for about 3 months now, which is not always great. But again, what's possible here, what you want to be looking for on Cupsy, best case scenario is it's forming like kind of this inverse head and shoulders here at the bottom, and it comes down here, maybe chops a little bit, shows corrective behavior, stops below that low, or potentially right at it, and then moves higher, like that, something like that. I could see that again. Worst case scenario, it breaks right through 1.0 and then collapses back down to whatever, and uses this as kind of a top, because again, tops, which are peaks, I like to call them, the biggest thing they're made up of is consolidation. So if it were to break below 1 million, that would be, you'd want to worry a little bit more about that. But I think that what that would come with is the entire market probably coming, collapsing, like Bitcoin, ETH, SOL, coming, Bitcoin coming below 100, all that. And I don't think that's the likely scenario here. So for Cupsy, just looking at this chart, this is the ideal scenario. You want to see it chop back down towards this 1 mil low, hold it for, even just like this, holding it for a week or holding it for 3 or 4 days above that low, and then bouncing back. This initial first bounce back, that's your sign. Okay, this is probably going to keep going up. So just looking at the chart again, you want to see it hold above 1 mil, potentially slow down and kind of chop down towards there to show that it's exhaustion on this move down. And as long as it's able to hold 1 million, bro, it probably moves back, above 10. So, Cupsy's not one of the coins that I'm going to talk about here in a second, the 10x meme coins, but you could see something like this actually doing that if you're able to, again, buy and we're able to accumulate when fear is high and when these prices are pulling back. Because most people, again, are just going to wait for certainty. And by the time they're buying, yeah, they might buy on the way up, but you're only looking for a one or two, 3x move at that time. It's a lot harder to navigate. So if that's your style, though, I mean, if you're going for 2, 3x's all the time, a lot of people kill it off that. I like to, again, accumulate on the way down on great coins, and then potentially take some drawdown sometimes, but catch those bigger 5, 10, 15x moves. But yeah, Cupsy looks good if it's able to hold 1 million. Thoughts on Cup? Yeah, we're in BNB season. Yes, BNB absolutely fucking taking off. Got to start looking at it more. So I have not touched Aster, which we'll talk about here in a second, but BNB making new all-time highs. What is it on the CoinMarketCap list now? Sitting still at number 5. Sitting at number 5 here in BNB, creeping up on Tether on the CoinMarketCap list. 40 billion away. So creeping up on that, which XRP is actually right behind that as well. So I think it's about a 25% move BNB is from getting to the number 3 spot, number 3 coin in all of crypto, which is nuts. Can't say I'm surprised. BNB has just been an absolute fucking powerhouse, and Binance, obviously, over the last 10 years in crypto. I think the world will go more on chain over time. But with that being said, Binance, I expect with CZ, with everything, the stronghold that they have on crypto, all the assets, everything, I'd expect BNB to continue to, especially into what I think is going to be a normie period. A lot of normie people all over the world, as well as we're hearing that potentially the US is going to be able to trade on foreign exchanges again. I think Binance is going to continue to do well, and BNB, for that reason, probably continues to go into the 1,000, maybe even goes to 2,000 for all I know. I think it's, I don't have a big BNB position, but I think it goes way fucking higher, with all this stuff combined, all the narratives and everything. Normies coming back. I think BNB is going to continue to crush it. Yeah, Alex Becker coin. I want to talk about these streamer coins here in a second, but Alex Becker coin, say what you want about it. Obviously not a popular opinion, but the coin itself, the chart, everything, I think has one of the best shots to make one of the recoveries and potentially go on a 10x plus run. What is up, Ms. D? How you doing? If you guys are just coming in, I would appreciate it. Appreciate you guys for coming on. We are talking about Bitcoin, ETH, SOL, some potential long setups. That if Bitcoin, ETH, SOL are able to hold these lows over the weekend, that we could see a large move to the upside, forming again what are some great long setups, especially on ETH. And I was saying I do think this next move up, above 100, above 120, above 130 here, if we're able to avoid this situation here, hesitation on top, that this next leg up here, if and when we're able to break above 120, 130, that's when I think we're going to get the flip in both momentum and prices and then sentiment. And I think that's when it starts to get really crazy. But those of us are here now, not checking out, staying involved, buying. We're the ones who are going to, really eat instead of chasing on the way up. So shout out to you guys if you're still on these streams, but just especially sticking around crypto. These are the times where you really learn the most, but also the buys and relationships, everything you make right now tend to be the ones that are the most fruitful during the bull. What is up, Slaying King? What is up, Coffee Holic Bonk? And those also, if you guys haven't already, go check us out on YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all at Bren Trades. Except TikTok, I believe obviously X has 2 S's, and then I think TikTok does as well. And especially on YouTube, going to start posting some long form content on there. We have the stream running on there right now. So if you're watching on YouTube, we've been having a few viewers in the chat every stream. So shout out to you if you're on YouTube. Definitely check me out on X. If you're on YouTube right now and you're hearing this stream, you're watching crypto streams, you see crypto start to heat up. Maybe a lot of the coins that you've heard of, XRP, BNB, these coins are starting to heat up and you've been looking to learn. Definitely do 2 things right now. definitely get on X. You need to make a Twitter account. If you haven't already, you can make a specific Twitter account just to crypto if you want, and start following, people on there, who you want to learn from, who you want to network with, who you want to learn from. When I first started in crypto, like Twitter, I was actually trading on Facebook for a few years, which is nuts. But like when I came on crypto Twitter in around 2020, that's when everything kind of accelerated for me because I was able to learn so much. People put out so much free information. You're able to, if you do it the right way, network and talk in the comments with a lot of people you would nowhere else be able to network or talk with. So get on Twitter, and then two, definitely check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, which I run with my business partner. I post a lot of tips, tricks, freaking a lot of trade ideas, specifically the last few months, like Pengu, SPX, USDUC, that have yielded like 5-10x gains for us during a time in crypto that's been pretty weak. So definitely check out that if you haven't already. But shout out to everybody on all the platforms. 2 more rate cuts expected this year, says Drawdown Smile. Yeah, I think the rate cuts, while in past years rate cuts have equaled a downturn in the market, I think if there isn't a huge influx in unemployment or some kind of recession or something breaks out of nowhere, what I think is going to happen is the rate cuts and the eventual probably QE and whatever way that happens will just add fuel to the crypto fire and potentially push us into that 2026, 2027. So aloha, Bren. What is up, 808? How you doing? Bullish on Cupsy. Okay. Yeah, let's look at Aster. So again, like I said, I was out of the house for the most part the last yesterday. So everything going on with Aster, was reading in the chats and I'm in and everything, but didn't get an opportunity to really read up on too much to make an educated decision and buy until really this morning when I started reading about it, more about what happened yesterday. But obviously crazy. A lot of people speculation around this is it Binance and CZ's play on and Hyperliquid to kind of take market share from Hyperliquid and all that. I can see definitely potential for that. It looks to be that's what it is. And at $1 billion market cap, I could definitely see this moving higher. This is actually a really nice setup out of the gate that it consolidated like this on a coin like as much hype as this one had, where it's chopped and able to give somebody an entry for over, what is this? I guess it's not that. It was like 6 or 7 hours, 8 hours, something like that. But that's the ideal entry. If there's a really good like fundamental play, something that you think is going to be a cook, and it has a lot of hype around it, and it comes out like this, chopping, and gives you an entry. Usually, I just I'll just buy that, and it's just a great risk to reward bet anyway. As usually most of these really hyped up plays, even if there isn't anything of substance there's so many eyes on it that it'll just send. So I mean, yeah, this gave a lot of people an entry, and does this continue to send to the upside? I could definitely see it, especially if it gets more love from CZ and all that. And again, it's just all of these things, whatever coins it is, it's whoever's behind it or these main characters behind it and their ability, whether it's the team or the main community or CZ, their ability to drive a lot of attention to the coin, right? It's the same reason why I think Trump coin is probably going to do well this year, because the people behind it, all they have to do is send out one tweet. We're in an attention game, right? All they have to do is send out one tweet and it just drives millions of eyes to the coin at the very least, uh, which obviously results in buys. Not everybody buys, but there's a small percentage of those people who do. And it's just, we're in an attention game, right? And when there's massive attention, something that CZ or whatever can talk about continually, or, it just, there's a lot of potential. And then when you see the chart as well, looks very impulsive to the upside. There's nothing here in the lower time frames that tells me, okay, that we're seeing a top. What I would be looking for, obviously, wherever, is same thing with Bitcoin I was talking about earlier. What I would be looking for is for a reversal and maybe where I'd be taking profits at. Why is there no brush in here? Where the fuck is the brush? Oh, is if it were either here or somewhere else were to come up and then show some exhaustion for like a 3 or 4 days, then you could potentially think it'd come down. But again, all signs right now are after coming out of this consolidation. I think it probably continues to push to the upside. And all it takes is a few more CZ tweets or just a lot of price momentum to continue this reign to the upside. So, yeah, I don't think this is going to happen necessarily, but that's what I would be looking for. Hesitation if it were to reverse, but I think all signs are pointing to the upside for Aster. Check out Nub. Yeah, we'll check it out. We'll check it out. What's up, Rojam? How you doing, brother? Damn, already in here for 30 minutes. Hell yeah. Nub. Wow. So Nub obviously made a massive run out of this big 99% correction. Pretty nuts to see a coin go from 200 million all the way down to 2 and then bounce back to 50. That is a massive massive recovery. So I'm not surprised to see Nub. I'm not surprised to see Nub at all making this 50% pullback. When something comes up so hard, its eventual pullback will usually be pretty hard as well. With that being said, just like how Nub went up with the rest of the market earlier this month, I think it will likely probably move back up if and when this meme coin correction ends as well with Bitcoin. So if you're a nub believer, you've been looking for an entry, these are the times typically on coins that you believe in you want to be adding to. So Nub looks nice here. Lower time frame correction after still up 6x off the lows. I think there's a good shot, especially with how this lower time frame correction looks, that it, on its next run here probably makes a run to 100 mil. Useless and troll. Once you feel more bullish and why? Which one you feel more? So to be honest, I don't know. I don't know too much about Useless. Obviously, been watching, but I haven't really dove in to the community too much. And obviously, I know the main narrative with sorry, someone messaged me. No, with Bonk Guy and stuff. But to me, I really like. I think to me, I like both of these. To be honest, I think both of them have some pretty clean higher time frame corrections that they're in with these corrective coil ups. Why is this? With these corrective coil ups. So this is probably what I'd like to see for Useless personally, as it come back down, chop back down a little bit, hold this low, and then start to make its move back up. To me, this is, I know it's so fucking chopped, but if it were to hold above and make a a higher low above 160, I think that's probably where your best bet for it to come back up. But I really like Useless on the higher time frames. But just off the rip, I do like Troll more. I think it's more of an obvious play to me that has both a really obvious normie, like the meme itself, but then also a really strong kind of cult movement community behind it too, from what it seems. So I've actually just yesterday accumulating my first bigger position on Troll. I didn't get in here in May at all. Just was looking at other shit, and then it just was up only from July to August. So nice to see a nice correction on here now, and I do believe that Troll has all the makings for $1 billion coin, 500 to $1 billion coin, if we can get some good meme conditions. Which, like I said on the top of the show, not only do I think we're going to get good meme conditions, but potentially the strongest period for memes we've ever seen. Right, and in that world, with Troll obviously being a very popular meme itself, they've bought their IP, which means they can do other stuff to drive attention to the coin and profit off of it, other stuff like that. So to me, to answer your question, I'm more of a Troll guy versus Useless, but also I think both of them look good, and I think both of them are likely going to go up. So let me see though. Yeah, new PFP. I just did a. This is like the fourth iteration of my PFP here. It the started out with the FWOG Pond NFT. Then I put the MOG glasses on. Then I put the MOG ACC filter on it, and then now I put the MOG MAMA Make America MOG again filter over it too. So can't even really tell it's a frog anymore. But yeah, no, I like this new filter. My eventual goal this year, I do I do think the FWOG coin and the Pond NFTs likely do have a lot of upside and could potentially be important in the future, but definitely shopping for a more longer term PFP. Probably a punk out here coming up, but yeah, that's funny. Can you check Avant? Yeah, Avant. Move through some of these quick. I want to talk about streamer coins here as well, but I wanted to get some of your coins looked at. Let me try this. Um, all right, cool. Avant. So to be honest, Avantis. I don't know anything about this coin either. So I can really only give you a chart perspective. But it is consolidating here. Consolidation, again, most of the time, guys, is going to equal a lead to some type of reversal. Whether that reversal is just temporary and part of a bigger correction that ends up going up, like something like this. Um, Let me get my brush out. Where it's something like this, and then just a short term correction, then goes up, or a lot of times consolidation like this equals bigger term reversals. This is what you don't want to see, where it's moving hard and fast out of consolidations, right? So, best case scenario, you want to see this happen for Avantis is you want to see it hold above this 236. Fuck, trying to get rid of this. You want to see it hold above this 230, let's just call it 230 low. Best case scenario comes back, chops below, but doesn't even break it, kind of a higher low, and then sends back to the upside. Again, consolidations most of the time equal reversals, so you want to watch the 230 low, but sometimes they equal corrections as well if they're able to hold above the consolidation that is forming. So that's what I'd be looking for. 230, kind of the line in the sand. You want to see it hold above it, and if it's able to shift above there, okay, Avantis is likely about to send back to all-time highs. What do you think about AVAX? We'll look about AVAX in a second. To be honest, after these couple of days/weeks, a lot of Murad's coins are looking really solid. Opinion on Murad's meme list? Great question, brother. This is actually a lot of what I've been thinking a lot about lately, and only because I watched a video of Murad's recent interview. Right. So if you guys have been watching my streams, or you've been in the Telegram channel for a while, even before Murad's list, I think Murad is brilliant. Frankly, like I think he's really ahead of his time in a lot of this stuff on memetics, and how he was predicting, like even back in that speech back last year, the meme coin super cycle list or whatever. That was crazy. That was only a year ago. You got to be shitting me. That is nuts. Um, I know. I'm not sharing anything. Um, but even before Murad's list, I've been very, very bullish on, you know, I didn't call them cult communities at a time, but just really strong communities, like Ticker Bitcoin, Mog. I started seeing at 9 million, kind of showed me the possibilities of meme coins. And after, like in the post like Doge era, right, saw it go from 9 million to a billion over 2023 to 2024. And uh, yeah, so I was a believer in a lot of those coins before the Murad list. Then Murad came out and just kind of eloquently put together that list of the cult community thesis, and he was really really early on this thesis that the whole world is going to shift towards hyper gambling. And we've really seen that play out in the last year with starting to play out with prediction markets, with sports gambling, with pump streaming starting to pick up. Um, so I think overall his cult thesis on tokenized communities and how movement memes are going to be the most dominant asset class in crypto as far as like as far as memes and like stuff like that goes. Like I'm a full believer in that, and a lot of his coins are still, I think, have the greatest setups. Are going to do do very well. Right, not all of them. I don't know about USA Coin, Retardio. I haven't really been paying too much attention to. That's lost a lot of steam. Right, still wouldn't count them out. But I'm talking the SPX, obviously, the Gigas, the Mogs, ticker Bitcoin. I mean, all of them just have a beautiful chart setups. They still have very um, Giga, for example, at 100 million. Like, I just don't see a world where we get even 3 months of meme coin conditions good that Giga doesn't send to $1 billion. Again, it hit 900. I think on this next leg that not only does a coins like Giga go to $1 billion and form a nice 10x opportunity there, but have the potential to push 3, 5, 10 because of the strong community they have, because of how the supply during these 90% corrections push into the diamond hand holders. Those diamond handers, they might sell on the way up, but they're not fucking dumping like 10, 20, 30% clips. They're selling slowly on the way up. So pretty much every time these corrections happen on coins like Giga, SPX, MOG, they go into stronger, longer term holders' hands, which makes the moves up more aggressive and more powerful, less selling pressure. Whereas these coins that go from 0 to $1 billion really quick, there's a lot of people who just got insanely rich very quick, who haven't really formed a bigger movement thesis around it yet. Essentially, what I'm trying to say is you don't know if a coin's great until it goes through that first 80 or 90% correction. And I'm just really big believer. I'm really big believer in these Murad coins, not just because of the Murad's thesis, but because they're battle tested. Giga, for example, this is its 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 70+% correction in the last 18 months. So, like I said, every time these coins go through these corrections, they become stronger. And yeah, I'm just a big believer in Giga, SPX, MOG, ticker Bitcoin. I mean, look at ticker Bitcoin, for example, has definitely been coiling up for a long time here, but I think it's really has a good shot at holding this low, but potentially finally getting back to that 340 million mark and moving higher. And I know some people, to them, like these Murad coins, are just like, they may be lame to them, or like they just like, oh, this is last year's news. It's not interesting to them, which I get. But to me, like, I like to do stuff that interests me, but more than anything, I like to invest in coins that are going to get 10, 5, 10, 20, 30 X's that I can hold, that I don't have to worry about some guy with 3, 5% dumping on my head. Right. So, you know what is cool and like interesting is 5, 10, 15, 20, 30X gains. Right. And I think a lot of these, I know it sounds outlandish to some people. These coins are at 70 million. What do you mean it's going to give me a 10 or 20X gain? It's every retail cycle we've ever seen where retail comes in. Yes, like in 2021, there were people that traded BNB meme coins, but 90, 80, 90% of that retail money, you know what it went into? It went into popular memes that these normies found interesting. So while some normies are going to go into pump streaming, they're going to go into low cap 15K pump fund shitters, most of them are going to buy the coins that are interesting that their friends have been trading and onboarding them into for a while, that are on Coinbase, that they can just log into Coinbase and push 2 buttons and buy. Those are the coins that are going to get the vast majority of the capital. And for that reason, I think $70 million coins like Bitcoin are going to easily send to 700 million, a billion, 2, 3, 5 billion potentially. I think that's a better bet than hoping some $1 million coin is going to go to 10 or 20. Because I know that sounds crazy to most, but if you just have lived through even more than one, or just been through one of these cycles, you see how crazy those coins with strong momentum really run during these kind of normie cycles. And I think that's what we're about to enter in Q4 in 2026. So yeah, Giga, SPX, Bitcoin, MOG, all those coins you named, juicy. I agree with you. I think they have great chart setups, communities that are still intact. Those are the coins that are going to get the most normie appeal, I think, coming into 2026. I need to catch up on these comments real quick. Someone says, I'm in the group. Thanks for your help and advice. Always massive help. Newbie at trading. So learning a lot from you. Thank you, Yo Mama. I appreciate that. I'm glad you're sticking around. I fumbled Aster just like I'm failing to catch myself in life. It's all right, brother. Plenty of opportunities ahead, man. You think I'm really missing Hemi, the co-founder's Bitcoin early dev? Yeah, let's look at the chart real quick for you. I don't. Let's see. You said Hemi is Bitcoin early dev. You can look at the chart for TA. Binance did 2 rounds on them. Oh, if it's this one, that looks like it's kind of. Oh, this one. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'll definitely keep an eye on it. Again, this just launched today. It's been consolidating, which again, like I said earlier about Aster, is definitely not a bad sign. But again, I don't have enough information. I'd had to read more about it and everything to really give like a take on it. But yeah, I'll definitely check it out, brother. Thank you for the suggestion. We went over Troll here a second ago, but yeah, I really like the setup on Troll right now. Honestly, don't really have a strong opinion on Uranus, man. Like I see a lot of kind of stuff around there, people talking about the team is trying to get, you know, Meow involved and stuff. So when there's just like a lot of confusion around it and there seems a lot of kind of not gimmicky, but a lot of just stuff like that, I just tend to stay away. Um the chart setup seems pretty decent, but I just really don't have a strong opinion on Uranus. What do I think about USDUC? I think USDUC may be the top with like salary and a few others like USDC might be the top new cult of 2025. I think like the strength of like how hard they raid and just how they're able to get people like Gainsey and stuff involved. They remind me of like a lot of coins that are a lot older. So I think really like USDC. As far as the chart and how it looks like right now, I think it's probably forming another corrective coil up, just like we saw in July, which we were able to catch here on stream at around 7-8 million. Posted in the Telegram as well, so got a nice 6 or 7x off there. I took about 25% of my profits off of there at around 60, but I'm potentially going to add here again. And I think what USDUC is going to end up doing, whether it bounces a few more times or not, I think it's going to end up looking like this corrective coil up in this one right here with an eventual, I think it's going to move back above 100, probably in Q4, if I had to guess. It's been a very, very, it's crazy. It's only been 2 months since I've been involved with the USDUC, but yeah, no, I like everything I see with them. There's just a narrative there with it, with stables obviously being a huge, huge thing, and then just a very strong community. So, what's your thoughts on stocks like SBET? Yeah, so myself, I've been watching a lot of interviews the last couple months, kind of hearing from people like Tom Lee and then um, Tom Lee and Joseph Lubin and a few of these other guys that are running the treasury companies, people talking about their thesis behind it and how the different ways it could go. From my understanding, and again, I'm not an expert on treasury companies or anything at all, but just from my understanding, I do think it's bullish, and from what I've heard from other people, it does seem like we're probably in the early stages of this getting very frothy, where there probably could be some companies that do some exotic type ways um, of doing things where it could get very high leverage and dangerous, where these companies could get blown out. But from what I'm understanding with SBET and Bitmine and these other companies, the way they're doing it, it's like Michael Saylor's doing, right? There's no risk at their loans expiring at least anytime soon. They don't have to pay interest anytime soon. The way that these legit companies are doing it, while it could create some froth, I don't think it has systemic risk of like blowing up or anything like crazy. So I think this, when it does get to start to get crazy with the treasury companies, is when you start to see them buying crazy like low cap stuff, right? Like meme coins and stuff like that. That's where you start to see like, okay, this is probably, creating a lot of froth. And with that, when we start to see meme coin DATs, that's probably when we're going to see prices at 10, 20, 30x higher from where they're at right now, a lot of them. And at that point, you might just start to say to yourself, or I might start to say to myself, like, okay, like we're probably getting closer to a kind of blow off top on everything. But my kind of takes is that yes, this kind of stuff could lead to some froth eventually, and it is frothy, but some like overheatingness and might cause like a Bitcoin top eventually. What I'm seeing, this is kind of just beginning stages, and I think the bubble, as far as the DApp bubble, could get a lot larger before it bursts, if it even does. I've sent you an AI video to use in your post. You forget to check. Oh, I'll definitely check that out, bro. Thank you. What do you think about Grippy? Let's check out Grippy. Oh, this looks nice. Monster gains. What is it? Is it just a meme coin on base? Wow. 73K to, wow, it gave you a chance to buy for a whole day at 30. Nice play, bro. GG. I mean, if you caught this, good shit. What I would say is this chart does look like healthy. It doesn't look like there's a lot of sellers. But if you are up on this, I would take profits on the way up. And this one is yet to see a big correction yet of 50%, I guess, besides this one. So always take profits on the way up. That's all I can say. But I mean, this looks good. I don't know too much about it, so I can't really give you a long-term thesis on it, but looks pretty good. Let's go and look at some of the coins on here. Pengu. Pengu's been one of the biggest plays for me of the year. Printed, I won't go into numbers, but accumulated. I had my Pengu airdrop, which was thousands of dollars, nothing too crazy. Accumulated pretty heavily on the way down. Won't. Yeah, won't. I got my airdrop up here, accumulated on the way down pretty heavily. I won't go into crazy numbers. I won't go into crazy details, but put six figures into Pengu on the way down, and at the peak was over seven figures. Took maybe I think 10% of profits up there. I just had to convince myself to, because it's really like trying to get into the habit of, even if I'm just extremely bullish on everything, just taking even myself, I have to battle with myself sometimes to make sure to take some profits off the board, but took about, I think, 15% off there. Still have such a big part of, or pretty nice part of my port that I don't think I'm going to add here. I think there's other coins like Giga and those other ones that I like to add to more. But with that being said, I really like Pengu, both narrative wise, chart wise, with meme coin conditions. I think it's just the perfect combination of for good conditions and everything lining up for Pengu, to where, what is it at right now, market cap wise? I think back below 2, right? Oh, it's at 2.2. Okay. I think Pengu's destined for 10 billion and potentially way higher. This is again one of these coins. I told you about it earlier on the show, that the coins that normies, for the most part, when I say normies, are people who are just not native to crypto, who haven't traded crypto for a few years, who their friend might have told them about it and they're really hopping in the game for the first time in a while. Most of that money is going to flow into coins that they can easily access on Coinbase or Binance or wherever, centralized exchange, and other coins that they find interesting that other normies or other people are on. And Pengu, for obvious reasons, with Pengu, with the attention that Luca brings, everything, I could see Pengu surpassing 10, and one of those coins that's like, oh fuck, this shit went from 10 to 20 in a week, just because of the perfect storm of all those things together. So I think Pengu, my first major target, where at that point I'll be 50% out, at least, maybe 60, 75, is at that 10 billion mark. I'm going to take, a bit of profit at 5 billion as well on the way up, but 10 billion is really that major target for me, where Pengu, where I'll be half out at that point. Doesn't really matter what it does, but yeah, I'm extremely bullish on Pengu going into 2026. We still have the Pengu ETF being, very likely looking a good chance to get approved with XRP and Doge starting to trade now. Um, and yeah, I really like Pengu here. I think it's kind of pulling back in another corrective coil up, very obvious on the charts. No consolidation up top. Kind of a pretty muted correction in general. Already coming out of it. I think highly dependent on what Bitcoin does over the next few days, but in the next couple weeks, I think Pengu rips way higher, and this time it'll hit above all time highs. So yeah, I think Pengu easily goes to 5 and then probably 10. We'll look at Pumpy. While I'm looking at Pumpy, if you're just hopping in, first of all, welcome. As of right now, doing these streams twice a week, Tuesdays and Fridays. Right now, we're multicasting on X, YouTube, and X and YouTube right now. I think right, and potentially, haven't really decided or not making a move on Pump Fund streams yet or anything. Been streaming for a year, just kind of watching the Pump thing right now. Definitely not opposed to it. I think there is a world where a stream that's more educational, where people are more focused on the trading side, will do well. I think there will be a lot of streams like that where people are able to build communities and belief and stuff off of making money and teaching people how to make money and education and all that. I think it may not be as quick, or it'll be definitely be a different game. I think the guys that are doing crazy stunts and stuff like that, there's a lot of momentum to the upside, but also the downside. I think there's going to be a lot of people who grow streams on there, and the education and the trading side as well. So definitely keeping my eye on there. And I've been having a lot of fun watching the Pump streams. Pumpy, wow, fucking crazy run here. Crazy run here on Pumpy. Gave you another coin that gave you a whole month to get in. Wow. Yeah, I mean, take profits on the way up, man. I obviously Pump Fund. This is at 2 million. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have any long-term thoughts on it. This is the first time I've looked at it, but all I can say is take profits on the way up. You want to hopefully continue to see healthy, choppy corrections like we're seeing here. And yeah, that's all I can say is take profits on the way up, especially if you're in down here. And take profits on the way up and can hope it continues to the upside. I don't have any other alpha, or haven't studied the community or any of that to give you much more than that. But yeah, chart looks good for now, and wouldn't be surprised to see it continue in the short term at least. I've been watching IN Coin. I'll look at that in a second. I'm from BMC. You're awesome, brother. What do you think about USDUC? It has survived multiple corrections now, and the metrics on it look good. Mochi, I hope you were able to catch my USDUC analysis just a second ago. But I really like USDUC. It's probably like the top 2025 kind of movement coin. And for that reason, the fact that it's still at, what is it at, under 100, I think it has $1 billion plus potential, and potentially way higher. So I really like USDUC in pretty much every way. Pump is another huge play for me this year. Probably the third biggest play for the year for me, other than SPX and MOG. I'm sorry, MOG. SPX and Pengu. Pump, though, this is one of that in the streams. If you guys were in the streams with me the last few months, we've been able to catch together. It's been a huge play, a huge nice 3 to 4x gain with size, or the fact that it was at $1 billion. For those who wanted to put bigger size in there, were able to. Obviously got my long that I took day one, stopped out at break even on the way down. Same thing with Pengu. A lot of people called it dead, right? A lot of people called Pengu dead on the way down. A lot of people called Pump dead on the way down. A lot of people called SPX dead on the way down. A lot of people called ETH Fucking Ethereum, the number 2 biggest coin in the world, dead on the way down. But doesn't happen on every coin, but the good coins that have other reasons other than the price, which most people in crypto only care about price. The other coins, the coins that have good fundamental stuff going on during these price collapses, those end up being the best opportunities, at least in my trading journey, especially the last few years, have been coins that most people, very smart people a lot of times will tell me, oh, yeah, this shit's dead. Because again, if you're only looking at the chart, of course you're going to think it's dead. That's why us as great, the greatest traders or whatever, at least the ones who aren't flippers, like that's a different game. But the greatest like investors and traders that I know, they're able to take positions on things, when hype is low and taking advantage there and able to differentiate between stuff that's just going to zero and stuff that's a great coin, but it's just having a price correction. So pump overall, we were able to accumulate in the box, went up 3 or 4x. Yesterday or 2 days ago, I took 15% off of my pump position again after I saw it hesitate up here. For those of you guys who've been in the show, just today, since the beginning, you've heard me say this a few times today. The number one thing that you can take from the show today and use in your trading, if there's anything, is this. When you're looking for any type of reversal, whether it be at the bottom or the top, whether that be a long-term higher time frame correction like this big one that took 2 months or 1 month to form on hype, or the lower time frames, the number one thing you want to look for is hesitation or consolidation. Okay. So when I saw pump hesitating here, kind of forming a consolidation, and for those of you guys don't know, is consolidation is when it forms a top and then forms a low, or forms a high and forms a low and trades in between that for a few days or for whatever period of time. When I saw that, especially when I saw it started a red candle through there, I took 15% of the profit off of there, expecting for more downside. And like I said, the consolidation low is usually a bigger line in the sand. If a coin just breaks right through there with straight red candles, okay, this is probably a bigger reversal. Now, with that being said, pump right now, the fact that it came through this low, like I said, consolidations either form reversals, like big reversals to the downside where it's just game over, or bigger corrections. So I think that's what pump is likely doing here. The fact that it's bouncing here is likely going to do something like this, I think. As Bitcoin and ETH kind of finish up their corrections or finish up their bottoms here, I think this is what we're going to see here for pump more than likely, is a move down in a choppy like manner, maybe a few bounces, kind of forming what is likely these kind of corrective coil up structures. And then once it's kind of shaken some people out, as it's chopped a bit, maybe this takes a few days, 3-4 days, whatever the case may be, then sends back to the upside. I could definitely see this play out. And at that point, I think it gives pump room to run well into the 4, 5, 10 billion. Pump, same thing as Pengu for me. Pump has 10 billion, I think, is the big main target for me, where at that point I'll be 50% out of my position. At that point, that would be a 10x on my original kind of average entry for pump on my spot gains. But like I said, pump, because of the normie potential, not directly through the coin, right? Like I think there will be normies who buy pump. Is it on Coinbase and Binance? I know it's on Binance, right? There will be normies buying pump the coin, or I'm sorry, pump the coin. But I think the number one thing that's going to drive pump's growth is all the normies that are going to come into creator coins and the streaming coins. For those of you guys know that streaming coins, all the time that the streaming volume, when pump fund volume is up, it drives the coin higher because they have buybacks attached to it. So I think all me in saying this is I think pump is going to 10 billion, but has the potential to go 20, 30, whatever billion if things do get crazy. So yeah, I really like pump. Short term could chop out a bit, but I think it moves higher, into the end of the month. Check small pep. Yeah, let me look at IN coin for Sapio. He's been asking for a little bit here. We'll look at creator coins, but I wanted to make today heavy on the chart requests and the questions for you guys. I know there's a lot of people probably, in a in disarray right now. A lot of people are just kind of confused. There's a lot of big accounts saying that it's over. A lot of big accounts, saying one more move up and then we're going to collapse for a few years. Like, it's playing out just like every other cycle, the 4-year cycle. And while there's definitely, I don't blame those people. It's been a hell of a year. First of all, a lot of people just, it's been chaos. But again, if you simply just zoom out on the charts, if you've been here for a year or two, but even if you're new, if you just zoom out on the charts, go look at this yourself, right? Go look what happens every time Bitcoin correct. No, I'm not. Bitcoin, every time Bitcoin corrects 25 to, I'm sorry, Bitcoin corrects 10 to 25%, all the great coins come down. And then once Bitcoin comes out of these bigger corrections, everything kind of really runs hard. In short, to kind of summarize that, is that Bitcoin drives everything else. Bitcoin and ETH, Sol drive everything else. And I believe Bitcoin, ETH, Sol don't top out at 120, but very likely goes much higher, sparking another huge run for everything else. So, IN coin, yeah, I'll look at IN coin for you, bro, real quick. Is this it? IN coin? So yeah, IN coin kind of tricky as well, forming consolidation. Best case scenario is that IN coin just continues to crush it through these all-time highs, but you just want to make sure it holds this 100 and 200K low. Has been consolidating here for about 2 or 3 weeks. I think best case scenario is it just rockets right through this 600K high here. So that's probably the most likely scenario. And other than that, I haven't really read into this coin at all. So I wish you the best of luck. Small Pep, what's up, Danny? How you doing? Do you think the toll will rip? Do you mean troll? Let's look at Small Pep. Yeah, a lot of sub 1 million coins here. It's not really my forte because yeah, it's down 99%. See, in order for me to really give you an opinion on this, I would have to know like a strong, really any type of take on this. I would have to know the community. Is there still people, you know, behind this coin, believing in this coin, all that different stuff? Tapped into other stuff to really give you an answer. Chart wise, it's down 99%. Obviously not a great sign, but you want to see it recover above 1 million to really be, that'd be a great sign. There's been essentially not a lot of volume on it either. Coins like this, essentially, I'd probably just stay away from. I think there's so many different other opportunities. I understand you might have a position way higher that you're down on, and if that's the case, bro, I pray that I pray for you that you're able to recover those gains, because a lot of these coins early on this year just went crazy and then just came down, and a lot of stuff dies. So that's why I really believe in movement coins, that people are excited about the coin even when it's down. That's key. I'm doing well. Are you talking about toll or troll? You're in bonk full ported? That's nuts. SPX. Yeah, SPX continues to be a big part of my portfolio, one of my favorite coins. Same thing as the others. I think it goes to 10 bill, but has potential to go way fucking higher because of the mimetic ceiling. A lot of people on crypto Twitter might think that the flipping the stock market thing's lame, but I'm telling you, a lot of normies are going to catch on, I think. And I see all over the timeline, I see SPX people in the wild, like in whatever, just like onboarding people. I think that's what's going to matter when people are trading crypto again in the general public. It's which coins has the ability to like do an elevator pitch for people that are interesting, that people are going to want to join in on. And those are the movements. People are going to want to buy into movements. They want to belong to something, feel like they belong. And, coins like SPX do that for people. Small Pep. What are the chances of BNB hitting 1,000 from here? Who knows? But in the next couple months, very, very good chance. Let's go ahead and look at streaming coins. Let me see. So yeah, we went over down day for the majors. Like I said, if you're just hopping in, Bitcoin kind of the line in the sand here in this low that it's approaching here at 114. If it's able to chop above this low at 114, I think Bitcoin very likely moves back to the upside with the potential, if it does break below 114, that it could make another low back towards that low hundreds, which I don't think is the most likely scenario, but definitely possible. ETH, I think, is potentially setting up for a long setup if and when it's able to hold over the weekend here above 4,000. If you dabble in leverage, which definitely not necessary if you're listening to this, you don't have to trade leverage. But if you're a perps person, maybe you're trading ETH. This is what I'm looking at potentially for a already to add to my ETH long position. I personally have a long position. I'm a swing/position trader. I like to accumulate during very big, sometimes multi-month corrections to catch the next big move up. I use leverage that's 5 to 7x. Again, lower leverage, but I'm chasing or catching these giant big moves up. So I started my long position with an average entry around 21 and then added heavily again at around 23. So my average entry right now on the stuff I've added is around 25, 2600. So for me, the name of the game is just not adding too heavily too early. I have a lot of room, obviously, personally, with my position. But let's just say you're starting a new ETH long position right now. Again, not financial advice. You got to make, if this looks good to you, you got to make your own decision. But this is what I'm looking at potentially for a nice ETH long setup. We actually longed the corrective channel here low last week, or I'm sorry, early this week, came up. Now it's about at our entry. If and when ETH's able to hold this low, I think ETH acts as a double bottom here and sends back to 5,000. I'd put my stop loss on this fresh long position if I were in one at 43.50, which I'd be, again, risking $100 on ETH to catch, again, a $5,000, which would be 5 or 6, which, again, if you do the math there, that's a 6-to-1 risk to reward ratio. So this is just a potential long ETH setup that I'm doing, which I'd be taking about 25% of my position off at this previous correction high at 4,700 and then continuing to take profits on the way up there. So that's a high probability ETH long setup that I have here. Again, it could go back down to the low 4,400s, but I would set my stop at 43.50 if I were to be placing a new long position here. But BNB, I think, moves higher. Any coins you mentioned for buying spot, I have prep on it. Is it too risky? I have a perp on it. Is it too? It's a great question. So I think a lot of people are tempted to just go like max long on meme coins lately, and I think that meme coins right now, especially Giga, SPX, Mog, are presenting like 10x entries. I think 5 to 10x entries at the very least that you don't need to use leverage, right? So I don't really use leverage on meme coins, bro. I would just buy the spot coins. It's just so much more peace of mind, and you don't need it, right? Like I said, 5 to 10x gains just from holding the spot. I think. Brent, I placed a buy order for Pengu at 0.0033. Do you think the price will get down there? $0.33. Let me look at the price. It's possible, bro. But like, I mean, if what is that 1% move? Like, I would just you're hoping that it gives you another 1%, and you might miss the entire move. Like, it probably goes down there, but if you're doing spot, why wait? That's kind of my I would just start buying right now if it were me. Not try to chase perfect entries. Sui, Lofi, all are getting wrecked, are getting down. Sui was almost at 4. Yeah, they're all going to follow Ethan Soul to the upside. Perp positioning for Sui. Yeah, we can look at that for you. Yeah, if there's any perp setups, I can look at your coins. Again, I only trade perps for ETH and Sol, and then sometimes Bitcoin. Really, ETH is the biggest position I have open right now, but I can always look at it for you guys. Kind of the line in the sand, and kind of the I don't really call it support, but the low that you would want to be watching, or like looking at here, is this one at 3,500 for Sui here. Okay, what the best case scenario, Pachetto, is what you want to see on Sui is just like Sol and just like ETH. You want to see it hold above 3.5 here. Okay, so you want to see it something like this, chop down towards the low over the weekend, and then send up from there. I think that's potentially what happens. Now, if Sui were to break below, not necessarily 35, but break below, 3.4, 3.3, that point it probably is going to go lower and act as kind of a local top or peak. But best case scenario for Sui, I'd be watching it over the next few days. If it's able to kind of chop down and hold this low over the weekend, I think right now an entry from here down to like 3.5, 3.45 would be good, with a stop loss at 3.3. So entry 3.6 with the stop loss at 3.3, targeting, four, back to four, back to four, but a target that I think very likely goes above the July high at 4.4. So, I mean, you're risking about 0.3 to get up to, 1, right? So it's like a 3-to-1 risk reward ratio. So yeah, like an entry anywhere between here and 3.5 with a stop loss at like 3.3, and then a targeting first take profit 4.3 with another one at like 4.7. Yes, did I try the Pengu game? Yes, I've been on the toilet. I've been playing a lot of Pudgy Party. Pudgy Party's a lot of fun. I guess they're gonna run uh, tournaments and other cool shit, Pengu tournaments around it. Yeah, I'm just trying to be really thoughtful about the pump fund streaming. Definitely been looking into it, and I don't think launching a token is going to be such a crazy thing. Looking back in a few years, and I think that the people who drive attention and who are able to form a community around the token, and provide value and teach people how to make money, all that stuff, I think a lot of those tokens and streams will do really well. So, um, definitely looking into it, just being really thoughtful, and probably will end up doing it, to be honest. Brent, I'm tired. LOL. Yeah, trust me, Jack. I've been doing this for 9 fucking years. 9 years. Been through FTX, Luna. Down here. Let's look at the charts. FTX, Luna, fucking Celsius, the 2021, collapse. All that stuff was annoying, but just the last year, I would say, is up there with any bear market year. Even though we're in like the middle, I think, of a bigger bull market, this last year has just been a crazy turmoil and ups and downs from the very beginning of the year with Trump came out, to the lows of the lows in April, when everybody was calling for much lower, when everybody thought we were going to enter a recession because of the tariffs, to Bitcoin reaching all-time highs again, to now a lot of uncertainty again. It's just been a wild fucking roller coaster. But what I can tell you is, every time Bitcoin's come out of these corrections, again, I say this all the time, you just got to let Bitcoin and the majors be our guide. And if you think Bitcoin's going to top out and see a 2 to 3 year high right now, then yeah, you shouldn't be buying meme coins and alts. But if you believe, like me, that what's most likely that Bitcoin's going to continue up, break the 4 year cycle and into 2026, I think there's no better time than ever to buy great movement memes, great streamer coins, great AI, like real AI coins, great gaming, like great coins and all these different niches, DeFi coins. I think now is better time than ever to buy a lot of these coins, because again, these huge opportunities, discounts are formed by just massive uncertainty, and by the time the certainty is higher again, prices will be way higher. So the biggest winners are the people who are able to take big bets during times of crazy uncertainty. I mean, again, look at all the people like us on the stream. Everybody who was here on the stream with us had the opportunity. We were able to work together to get some really good fucking entries. But like, think about anybody who was able to accumulate Pengu, like Pengu. What? Let's see, April. Let's see everybody who bought Pengu in April. Do you think they've done well? Let's see. Pengu in April. Yeah, that was the very bottom of April. So remember how depressing it was back in April. How everybody was just timeline was pretty quiet, still pretty quiet, but timeline was quiet. Everybody thought we were going to enter a full blown recession. They thought the U.S. economy was just completely wrecked. And if you would have bought SPX, Giga, Pengu anytime when the uncertainty was at its peak, you're up 5, 10, 15x right now. Right now, I think we're at a time where certainty or there's not as many boogeymen and things to be scared about, but still the greatest discounts ever. I think right now is the greatest sweet spot that you're going to get maybe ever for meme coins. Like you got stuff like Giga at 100 million, easily going to a billion. You have all these coins that I think looking back, people are going to be like, fuck, I could have put thousands of dollars into this and gotten hundreds or thousands, tens of thousands, whatever, into these coins and easily 10x my portfolio if I would have just even put a little bit in. So, yeah, that's how I see it. I know it's been fucking tiresome, but I think the best is yet to come, truly. Y'all should check out this. Let's just watch it together. Shout out to Kaleo. I know a lot of the younger guys, who just got in here and they're on the trenches side of things. Don't really know, maybe don't know Kaleo. He's not in that sector, but this guy, if you haven't, definitely check him out. Learned so much from this guy over the years, not just chart stuff, but just overall sentiment. And not everybody who's been around for a long time knows what they're talking about. But when you have somebody smart who most of all has lived through these different cycles and have lived through the different fucking emotions and all this different shit that comes with these cycles, those are the people I've learned the most from. So I think Kaleo's been fucking with crypto even longer than me, 2014, 2015. But
we can look at Pengu. Right? Pengu was dead. I don't care what anybody says. When you're down 90% from your all-time highs, you're declared dead. Pengu was dead. It's not dead anymore. And I'm not saying from a community, from an eco perspective, but from what the world would tell you, from what an outsider would tell you, if you were not plugged into the trenches and knowing what they're doing every day, you would look at this chart here after this, and a lot of people did, and you would say this is dead. Oh, yeah, I need to... Here, let me get my face smaller so you can see this. Pengu's dead. He was dead. 90% down, and then the rebound. It was dead. Let's go to like Bonk back in the day, man. When I say back in the day, what's a good Bonk? I think Bybit has a really detailed chart. Okay. Bonk, right here. Bonk was dead. It was dead. For an entire year, it was dead. Until it wasn't. Pepe. Pepe was dead. When I talked about Pepe all through this period, people laughed. Pepe was dead. Until it wasn't. NFTs are dead. Your favorite L1 is dead. The market as a whole is dead. Alts are dead. But they won't be forever. They're waking up a little bit right now. And like, I don't know what else to tell you to really just prepare you for the influx of the madness of what is about to happen. The resurrection of the trenches is coming. I mean, if it has not already come, it is coming. The influx of new retail, if
Yeah, so I mean, if you guys have been on here for a while, you know I'm like pretty much on the same page. I think every time stuff heats up eventually in these cycles, we get some kind of normie retail influx. And I think that's why we haven't gotten a major top yet, and why I don't think we're going to get a quote unquote top multi-year bear market on Bitcoin until it goes on that crazy euphoric parabolic run, right? So until that happens, I think Bitcoin either continues to chop up, but what's likely to happen, just like Kaleo said there, that just like in 2021, just like in 2023, when Pepe was dead, all these different things, I think we're gonna have a huge influx of normie capital, which is gonna send everything crazy. If we're in 6 months from now, if everything's up 10x, that's the time you want to be like, okay, it's over. Not right now when everything's depressed and still down 10x. Yeah, I agree. Quality is the alpha in the long run. Yeah, I think buying and holding great shit during a correction is just like during these corrections. I'll just go and list off right now, like I have in the description, five to 10 meme coins that I think have a great potential to 10x if you're just able to be patient. We'll start with Pengu. Again, it's already up a bunch. I think it still has potential to go to 20 billion. This, I think, has more of a very, very, very like strong potential for 5x, but I'm still probably undershooting it. Um, yeah, Pengu right here. Sorry, I have to share my screen. Pengu right here, 5 to 10x potential for sure. Again, it's logically you think in your head it's already at 2 billion. What are the chances that it's going to go to 20? I know that sounds whatever, but it's the runners run during these big, bullish hype cycles that I think is coming. The ones with momentum tend to have more momentum. So I won't say that Pengu is like 100% surefire 10x, at least not right away, but I think it's 100% a very, very, very likely 5x from here. I really like Troll, for example. Troll is the perfect example of my strategy, my bread and butter, how I've able to print seven figures on Pengu. Big wins on SPX, USDUC, others pump during these downtimes in the market is when I'm able to identify great coins in a time where they're correcting and price is down. Because in crypto, what comes with price down is attention low. A lot of people go on to the next shiny stuff. And what that is able to create most of the time is amazing 50 to 90% discounts to where if it's still a great coin, it still has a great core community. I know it has a very good likelihood of recovering and having another narrative. For Pump, it was the buyback and the buy potential flywheel. It was Alon on interviews. For Pengu, I knew that Luca Nets was an absolute fucking beast who was going to drive attention to the coin. In SPX, I knew that it was just an amazing community around it with people like Murad who was going to, bag work for it. With Troll here, perfect example of this strategy, I think, right here, where we can come back in a month from now. I think this is going to be way higher. A couple months from now, I think this is going to be way higher. And I think Troll right now at 118 million, between here and 100 million, because of this corrective chart pattern, it went up from 0.01 all the way up to 0.027 in a matter of a month. And when that happens, you want to expect a correction at some point. So I think this is a very healthy correction on Troll. I haven't taken a big position up until this point because if it's been up only, I don't like to chase things to the upside. But now that I'm seeing, again, Troll, a great coin with a meme that's very famous, with a very strong community, they've just bought their IP back. They're able to, again, do whatever the fuck they want with the IP now to drive more attention to the coin. I think all of these things combined together, I believe if we have a little bit of patience, is going to send Troll to at least $1 from here, or at least $1 billion market cap. Again, a 10x gain. So I want to come back to this on the stream, clip this. We'll put this in the stream, come back in a few months. I think this is an amazing opportunity and a perfect example of this strategy in motion that you don't have to be chasing the newest, shiniest thing, that you can identify. You can still do the pump funds and all that stuff, but with a large part of your portfolio is identifying great coins and buying them when attention is elsewhere for a bit. And again, that comes with scary, it's scary sometimes, especially if you just starting to do it. But again, those are the biggest gains. The biggest gains come from buying great coins when uncertainty and prices are low, or essentially during corrections. And that's why in these streams I try to teach and try to help you guys identify not just great um, fundamentals, great communities, great stuff like the pump fund stuff with Elon, but also to differentiate between big reversals or impulses and corrections. That's why I talk so much about corrective behavior, because if our main goal is to accumulate during corrections, therefore we must be get great at identifying corrective chart behavior. So that's what you hear me talk about a lot. And the fact that Troll has bounced a lot here and has showed choppy behavior versus just a straight down movement, that tells me this is a correction in play and that the next big move is going to be the upside. So chime, what are you talking about? Did you hear something go off? Pengu is so alive. Yeah, Pengu is going to have a big run in 2026, I think. What happened to Kind streamer coin? Kind went down? Oh shit. Well, first of all, the entire market went down. This is probably a good time to transition into the streamer coin stuff. So we've been talking a lot about it on the streams the last few weeks. Have been really exciting to me. My take on streaming coins is that with any new meta, it's going to be extremely fucking frothy. There's going to be coins that even the great coins that even great coins that even great coins that come out and go up, and then they're going to go through 50 or 60% corrections, because with new metas are just going to become a lot of volatility. What I think is going to happen is, because of the last few weeks, we've seen creators come in from inside and outside of crypto and make 100, 200, 250,000. For example, Bun coin, which I'm really bullish on actually. This guy Bunny Fufu is a long-term gaming streamer in a few different games. He's been, he took it on himself to start the pump fund streaming the last few weeks, like a week ago. Been very strong, has a strong vision for it, and he's made $267,000 on the creator fees. And again, a lot of that has been from the very beginning when he bought. But I think what that's going to create is a lot of the normal stream, like the traditional streamers, entertainers, rappers, a lot of people are seeing, okay, this guy Bunny Fufu, who, they're thinking, oh, I'm way bigger than this guy, or not even just Bunny Fufu. Bunny Fufu is great, he's big, but like they see some other guy making 100K, and they're thinking, this guy made 100K in a day. What the fuck, think I can do, right? I think what that's going to do is going to create a lot of big people coming in and creating streams. And what that's going to do is eventually, probably when crypto conditions heat up again here, is we're going to get some $100 million runners. And what these $100 million runners is going to create is a lot of belief. A lot of these people who are very, very skeptical of this whole streaming meta are going to be like, okay, fuck, there's $100 million runners. Let's go. And that's when you're going to start to see a mania start to pop up. And so pretty much I think there's going to be a bubble, a very strong bubble with a ton of opportunity in the CCM, creator coins, streamer coins, whatever you want to call it, meta, that I think just like meme coins, probably, at least for a few months, probably way longer, will have a very strong meta or a bunch of 100 million, potentially $1 billion coins spread out, bunch of opportunity. It's going to be a lot of fun. But like anything, at some point, I think this bubble will eventually, most of the coins will come down. Maybe the technology or whatever may be too early or whatever it may be. But what I think potentially could come out of that bubble, whether that bubble takes 3 months, 6 months, a year to fully, burst, what could come out of the bubble, depending on what we see come from Pump Fund and stuff, could be a whole new model for streaming, or at least something where Twitch and Kick are forced to at least offer like that as an option for streamers eventually. Because again, somebody like Bunny Fufu, who I don't know how many normal viewers he gets on his streams or how much he's been streaming on Twitch anyway, he's able to come in and make 267K. Like a big streamer, I don't think you're going to see Aiden Ross or Speed or any of those guys risk anything to come in just yet. But even a mid-level streamer, easily you're going to make a couple $1 million. And at that point, if it's kind of more solidified, why the fuck would they go back to Twitch at that point? Type of thing. Obviously, we're long way away from that, but yeah, I think there's going to be a really strong, exciting kind of bubble in the CCM thing, and I'm excited to participate in it. I think there's going to be a lot of long term streamers that come along around from it. A lot of fun that's going to come from it. I think we're going to see a lot of people come into our world of crypto for the first time. Potentially, the creator stuff could be what onboards more normies and new people to crypto than anything, more than meme coins, potentially right up there with it. Yeah, can you turn? Um, sorry, I just got a message from my producer, but yeah, I think we're gonna see some big names come in. It's gonna be exciting. I think a lot of people are gonna come into crypto this way, which will just potentially drive the entire crypto market higher. So tune into these streams. Make sure to turn on post notifications. Shoot me a follow, because we're gonna be talking about a lot of these coins coming up here and potentially make a lot of big gains together, just like we did on SPX, Gigam. I'm sorry, SPX, Pengu, Pump, all these other coins this year. What do you think on Dot? Seeing a lot of building positions. Dot, I really like Dot. Dot's probably right behind AVAX for me for one of the older L1s that I think is really going to bounce back. You know, again, another coin that has 10x potential, which is nuts because it's in the top 15. But yeah, I think Dot really has potential here. I was talking about Troll 10x coins. Yeah, so I think Pengu Pump potentially has 10x potential. Troll really the number one kind of no brainer that I think probably has a lot more than 10x potentially, even conservatively, just to go to a couple billion is Giga. It's showing all the signs of. It's just like Troll. It's one of the most famous memes in the world with Giga Chad. You saw the Giga Chad guy who it's confusing. There's a Giga Chad, the guy that they kind of made, and then there's like this influencer guy who like makes memes around it. Like I was just on iShow Speed recently, like still a super like relevant meme that everybody recognizes with the community that's been around for a year plus, survived a bunch of these corrections. They're also doing a fitness brand as well called Giga Fitness, which I think puts it potentially in the social currency realm where they're building a real world brand around it. I think a lot of these memes are going to do this. We saw Troll buy the IP. A lot of these other ones are going to probably form brands and other things around it to drive more attention to it. Giga just dropped just another drop today of their fitness line. All these things together, I think, create a very, very strong possibility that Giga 10x pluses from here. So that's four. What else is Mog? Again, Mog already at around 300 million, but I really think Mog in a big meme coin super cycle is going to see. I put this box here back in September 1st, and it's trading right in this box again. I've said this probably 6 times on the stream, but I want to drill it in your head. The number one thing we should be looking for when coins are going to reverse and we're looking for a bottom is consolidation. So as you can see here, Bitcoin's been holding this low. I'm sorry, Bitcoin. Mog has been holding this low for 13, 14 days now. Again, I think it continues to chop in this box, lets Bitcoin, ETH, Sol kind of play itself out, and then takes off to the upside. And I think Mog has 2, 3, 5 plus billion potential and very likely runs 8 to 10x plus from here as well. Again, great correction, great coins in big corrections. I just think there's no way if the market recovers here and does a big run in 26 that Mog doesn't 5 to 10x here. So that's like that's like 5 or 6 coins right there that they're 10x potential. Ticker Bitcoin, another one. You have USDUC, I think also a really strong potential as well. But I wanted to highlight those 6 or 7 for you guys that if you're looking for, you have the luxury of having some dry powder here. I think those are in combination just right there, some of the surest fire opportunities to 10x your portfolio. Not just 10x on a coin, but 10x your entire meme coin portfolio because of how undervalued I think some of these are. So USDUC especially, just back to all-time highs. You're looking at a 2x at 30 million. I don't think, again, I don't see a way where this doesn't go in meme coin conditions that are good for a few months plus, that you don't see something like USDUC go to multiple hundreds of millions. But again, it has that strong potential with such a strong community early on with the stablecoin narrative, that I could see it going to a fucking billion, honestly. I know that sounds super moon boyish, but it's just like you look at a lot of these other coins that have hit a billion. I just see so many characteristics in USDUC. Of course, it's early. This thing's been around for 4 months. Like, I can't believe I'm like glazing a coin this hard when it's only been out for 4 months. But when you know, like about USDUC, it's like, it just. Would you look at Graphite Protocol? Yeah, sure. Oh, what was that comment you were telling me? Fuck. Sorry, you can tell me. Hold on. Damn, I didn't know it held down. So Arsham asks, how on earth can you time the tops for the coins though, like MYX? How'd you know it'll stop the pump? Great question, bro. So that's a lot of the questions that I get in here, way more than you think, are people asking, when is this coin going to stop? Like, when can I expect it to top out? And I'll tell you here, like myself, anybody else, the number one thing that's the hardest to predict, really like impossible to predict, is when is something going to stop, right? Timing, or when is something going to stop or anything like that. Again, there's the number one sign that something is going to reverse and stop going up is, in the dead giveaway, is consolidation or exhaustion, where price stops and just chops and is not able to go higher for hours, days, weeks, depending on the time frame. That's your number one dead giveaway. But even then, a lot of times, like these big corrections we talk about, the ones that we're bullish on, they just happen out of nowhere. Sometimes something's just going to drop 50%, 30% after it's gone up a lot. So to answer your question, Arsham, the move and the strategy is to not try to guess at all. It's to have a profit taking strategy set up ahead of time. For me, I have a profit taking strategy where on these coins, I'm taking 25% of my original position off at 3 to 5x. At that point, I'm essentially risk free, where I don't have to worry if the coin goes up, down, fucking sideways. I'm already out of it. That gives me peace of mind, to where I can take that capital, put it back into something else, keep it in Sol, ETH, or whatever. And then that other 75%, if that thing goes to 10x, that's free money that I'm, I'm still holding a position in it either way. But again, it gets us risk free. At 10x, again, I'm taking another 25% off, 15x, so on and so forth. So that way we take risk, we take profits, and we don't have to worry about when the top happens. We can just add on the way down if we find it fit, right? A lot of people just like they think they can just take profits magically and whatever. A lot of times the way these corrections work, or these moves up work, is they're so euphoric that it tricks you to just wanting to stay in the trade. Just like how people want to stay and keep playing blackjack, it's the same kind of way. That's why we have to that's what makes it not gambling, essentially, is setting up a profit taking strategy that you stick to no matter what. Streaming stuff was around for a long time. Are you talking about traditional streaming, or you're talking about streaming on Pump Fund? Streaming obviously been around for a long time. I assume you mean the streaming on Pump Fund's been around for a while. Yeah, it has been, but it just recently kind of caught a wave because of the creator fees. Before, the only way people could really make money from the Pump Fund coins is they obviously had to sell some, right? But now Pump Fund's allowing it to, all the fees that they're collecting off of the streaming Pump Fund, they're giving a percentage of that back to the streamers, so that the streamers don't have to sell the coin to make money. That's kind of what the new wave is kind of formed around, I think. Hobie says, "Yo, what's good, homie? Wish I had the sack to stream on Pump, bro. Just do it. Uh, Let me know. What do you think's personally holding you back? Like, do you think is it the streaming overall? Like, just nervous streaming, or is it launching a coin, or what? If it's just dude just starting a stream, bro, I would just do it, man. There's a lot of people. Everybody has something entertaining about them, bro. I bet there's something that you could teach people, or just hang out with you. You know, you never know, bro. There's gonna be a lot of people entering Pump Fun, and if you're able to do something somewhat interesting at all, you never know. Exactly, Rojam. That's where always be taking partial profits. Let's check out the timeline though. Anything going on? Pretty fucking quiet day. Besides, looks like the Rec drink sold out. Just sold 1 million cans in its first 12 months of operation. Damn, that's crazy. Yeah, Wrecked also is another one who's it's already at 3 or 400, but I could easily see this be a 5 to 10x gainer too. I'm gonna tell you what's gonna happen, guys. Like this is usually what happens every cycle, right? On these coins like Wrecked, most people let me see. Most people in these corrections in general, not even just bear markets, just corrections in general, most people in general they buy after the certainty is already up. So they're going to buy right here in late July or wherever towards the top, and then get freaked out on the way down, either selling what they had or just being too scared to buy on the way down when there's amazing entries, 5 10x entries, and then they get hyped up and buy the top again. Like this is like a cycle that most people do. Like it's just a human emotion and what the market and what these price moves make the average person feel. Um, and you, us, the people who I've seen just do very well, myself, others, like they do the opposite, right? In order to break the cycle and to be one of the few percent of people who ever make money in crypto, you have to do the opposite. You have to again ignore the fear, not ignore the fear, but embrace it and understand that during Bitcoin corrections, everything comes down. Doesn't matter the great coins, the bad coins, everything comes down. Most of the stuff or a lot of stuff dies out, but you got to realize that a lot of stuff, the great stuff is going to recover. So what you should be doing is during these big Bitcoin corrective periods is be looking for the great coins for other reasons other than price and accumulating on the way down. Those are the easiest way to go from a little bit of money to a lot of money. It just takes a bit of patience and embracing the fear, right? So again, if you want to make money in the next 2026 or whenever this shit really starts to pick up, you want to be, if you have dry powder, I understand if you lost everything or you just don't have any money to put in right now, completely understandable. But if and when next time you do, you want to train your mind to buy when fear and uncertainty is high. Great coins that have all the great fundamental reasons. Buy when the uncertainty is high. Like uncertainty is high in the overall market and take profit when everybody starts to get really hyped. That's what my always be taking partial profit strategy essentially allows us to do. But it goes into more of a science and allows us to set actual numbers on that, or else whatever. So my whole point is buy great coins when they're going down. Wrecked, for example, like they just sold 1 million cans, in 2020 and 2025 in their first year. Of course, I don't think there's any crazy flywheel with the coins. Besides, they do give some coins attached to the cases sometimes. But again, it's all about attention. All it would take is a big partnership, or maybe Red Bull or something buys out Wrecked Coin. Can you imagine what that would do? Or Wrecked Drinks, I'm sorry. Can you imagine what that would do for a coin like Wrecked, in the category in general? So again, it's just about the attention. It's all an attention game, and when a coin like Wrecked is down fucking 50%, it's another example of an obvious buy to me. So shout out to Rec. That's fire. Azuki TCG. Azuki TCG. Yeah. All the NFT all the NFT projects are moving into the physical cards. Is it bad that attempted to buy just a few yesterday? Comic number 5. Yeah, it seems like the timeline is pretty damn quiet today.
Need somebody on the other end of it that you think is going to buy these coins at 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 million. And that's how the coins actually get there. So if we don't have an actually big streamer, if we don't have funds buying these coins, if we don't have funds supporting streamer coins, and we don't have Pump Fun as a streaming platform growing rapidly, which it is, then there'd be a problem. This was a fun run for the trenches. There's nobody there to...
Didn't make it to BCon, or they...
Let's see. Shout out to everybody who shared this stream. Yo, what's good, Ziggy? How you doing, brother? But yeah, we're coming up on 2 hours. I'm probably gonna bounce here pretty soon, but yeah, gonna start picking up right now, doing 2 streams a week. Gonna start picking it up as the market picks up. Probably add in a Twitter space. I have 1, potentially 2 guests I'm gonna have on next week. Really excited to move into that side of things. But the streaming coin thing, we didn't really talk too much about that besides kind of how I seeing it play out. I think right now what I'm doing is I'm keeping it really simple. I'm buying right now. There's not a lot of big, quote unquote, big creators right now. A lot of it is just crypto creators with some low to mid level, I'd call them Web2 streamers like Bun. And, and mid level, I just mean in numbers, right? We have some of these other guys. You saw Jack Doherty, which, I don't know if I trust that coin, but guys like Jack Doherty come in. What I'm essentially doing is buying the ones that I think have the vision for Pump Fund that are sticking around in streaming, are going to continue to stick around and stream and being able to drive attention to their coins, whether that be by simply just showing up or doing fun stuff or just whatever it may be. I'm buying coins the ones that are sticking around. I think there's a select few, Rasmer, for example, say what you want about him, but I think his chart probably bottomed out when this thing really does go up. 5 million, pretty high. I would say there's some interesting opportunities much lower than 5 mil. But that being said, I would think that, when this narrative does pick up, Rasmer is probably a good one as far as just probably going up. He has a lot of synonymous with the whole narrative. Again, the based house. I don't know how I feel about. I haven't bought any of the individual streamers personally, but just the based house in general, their coin probably does well. The Giat coin that I was talking about, but a few that I've been diving into, the newer ones that have just kind of popped up the last few weeks. Number one, obviously, being the Alex Becker coin. I think streaming coins are just not going to do well for the next few weeks until some of these things find their bottoms and until there's probably a runner or something crazy. But I think it's just simply put, Alex Becker has said he's going to continue to stream on the platform. Right now he's live. He's given away hundreds of thousands of dollars and has a Twitter of 1.4 million people that he can just tweet to every time he's live. And with good conditions, I just find it very unlikely that the Becker coin doesn't reach 10 million. And where attention goes, I think volume will eventually flow. And with that, I think something like stream season, say whatever you want about it about Becker. I just think personally, I think this is just a no-brainer buy right now. It's all about attention, and this guy's he's got tons of it. So stream season, Bun coin which is one under a million. But my friend, buddy, and I have been watching a lot of his streams recently, and he has been on nonstop for over a week now. Let's see, what is it? 90 hours. Is that it? 90 hours?
Got some receiver legs. Look at the legs.
Yeah, so he's been on 90 hours. So what is that? Almost 4 days.
Nice job adjusting to that underthrow.
Who do you think was the most legit in the drills, and who do you
But anyway, yeah, sorry, I was reading something, but he's been streaming nonstop for 5 days. He's he's been in the streaming game and the traditional side for a long time. Can compare the two worlds. Been streaming a lot. He has other connections. He has a streaming house he just started. He's been nonstop. I see people like this. Once their charts consolidate, again, this one's been consolidating for a day. If they can consolidate for a week plus, I think a lot of these are going to come to such a low point that they're going to actually be, they're going to look good to a lot of people. Not look good to a lot of people, but are actually going to come to prices that people feel good at buying. I like Bun here. I think this is the one that could send back to all-time highs at around 10. And essentially, these coins are so small, they're going to see so much volatility. But I think stuff like Bun Coin, like Stream Season, other coins that you've been watching, maybe the Bagwork guys, I haven't really been watching them the last few days, but what are they at? 5 million?
You guys are crazy, bro. We're gonna get posted on.
Their chart has been consolidating here for, what is this? 2 days now too. I'd like to see Bagwork consolidate for another 3, 4, 5 days, something like that. And at that point, I think a lot of these, or a few of these, several of these are going to come out of the ashes. And I wouldn't count these guys out either. They've driven a lot of attention, and I'd assume they're probably going to do more stuff in the future. You never know, but at a 90% discount, I don't think it's a bad bet. So that's kind of how I'm playing the streaming coins. I think most of the crazy runners have not come out yet, but when those crazy runners do come with the big names that I think eventually will come in, I think the original coins that have been in the meta for a while, the Bagworks, the Bun coins, the Stream Seasons, the Giat coin, the Rasmer coin, the Based coin, all of those I think have very good potential to 5-10x from here. So those are the ones I've been really accumulating and paying more attention to. They said Kind is down a bunch. Wow, even Kind coin is down 60, 75%. Again, just during these market corrections, like everything kind of just goes lower. So I would assume this looks pretty corrective. I'd like to see a bit more sideways on this one too, and probably goes higher. So whoever asked about that. Yo, what's up, Gendar from YouTube? Shout out to you, bro. I don't think you added me on Twitter yet. If you have, please send me a DM. Jack will rug it. Yeah, I think Jack, I wouldn't be surprised. You've seen many Bagwork coins similar. Yeah, it's happening. But yeah, with that, guys, let's check on Bitcoin really quick before I head out. But best case scenario, you want to see Bitcoin start to chop out or bottom out between here and 114. I think that's probably what likely is to happen, is that it does some shit like this, kind of chops out, then moves higher into the end of the month. Into the end of the month. Here, let me do this. Yeah, I think Bitcoin's likely probably to do something like that. It's best case scenario and moves up into the end of the month. If and when Bitcoin is able to hold above this low over the weekend, I think that's going to be a great sign. So ETH, same thing. If ETH's able to hold above, see, we're already seeing a bit of a bounce. If ETH's able to hold this low again over the weekend, even until tomorrow, I think we bottom out here and it sends back to 5K. So definitely, if you just came in, make sure to, first of all, please like, retweet, comment, bookmark the stream. Always appreciated. Shoot me a follow as well. I'm doing these streams right now every Tuesdays and Fridays. Going to add a few more streams as well. Potentially would eventually like to be streaming at least 5 times a week. But if you haven't if you weren't here earlier, definitely roll back and check out where I talk about this ETH long setup. I think this is a great like 5-6 to 1 ratio, risk to reward ratio for this long here back to 5,000. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. We talked a bit about streaming coins, about the meme coins that I think have obvious 5 to 10x potential on this next leg, and so much more. So definitely run that back. If you haven't already, like I said, shoot me a follow. Check out the Boss Man Calls Telegram channel, which is link in bio. You know, I'm very active on Twitter, but I put a lot of my more long form, in depth views and trade ideas in there, tips and tricks, you know, stuff I've learned over the years, tutorials, chart stuff, perp stuff, giveaways, as well as my business partner, Boss Man, who obviously posts good stuff in there as well. So definitely check that out if you haven't already. And I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll be back on Tuesday. Enjoy your weekend. Be safe. And like always, I think the best is yet to come. I appreciate you guys. Love you.